Welcome, welcome, and Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah.
Amen.
Amen.
Go into the screen share. Thank you so much. Here we are. So let's give you one moment to see the screen. We are on to the last two parshiot of Exodus. They both deal essentially with the construction of the tabernacle. We spent a tremendous amount of time in a repetitive, you might say, although they're not repetitive in terms of details. That is to say that they have to do with different aspects of the creation of the tabernacle. They break that creation down into various components. The plan to begin with, the commission next, the construction next, the fabrication, the actual putting together of it, the accounts of it, etc. So we read about all these different elements of it, and my explanation of that is because when you love something, when you really love something, you actually do obsess over it, and you look at it from every point of view, and you try to understand it from every point of view. And that's this love. The tabernacle, in some ways, symbolizes the love of God, our love of God, and God's love of us. And of course, as I slowly came to understand that it's a blueprint for human existence, for where we're supposed to find purpose, significance, meaning in life, in the service of God, by taking every part, every component of our human beings, of our human existence, and use it to serve rather than simply to take, and to think that we will gain happiness and joy and meaning simply from taking and taking and taking. But many people do understand that a lot of joy comes in the act of righteous giving. So here we are describing the actual construction of the tabernacle and how Moses is telling the Jewish people how they're to put it together. And we're in the middle of it. So we're talking about the boards of the tabernacle. I have some illustrations to share with you, and which I hope will help you visualize what's going on. Vahayu shmona krashim, and 8 boards, va'adnehem, and their sockets, kesef, made out of silver. That is, the sockets would be made out of silver. Shisha asar adanim, 16 sockets. Shnei adanim, 2 sockets apiece, literally 2 sockets. Tachat hakerish ha'achad, underneath the one board. And I am going to now try and see if I can show you what we're looking at here. So let's take a look here. And let's go in here. Excuse me for one moment. Here are the boards, by the way. These are the sockets that we're talking about. And you notice how there are 2 sockets under each board, and we're going to get into a little more detail here. Let me see what I can find. All right, so I wanted to find, this is at least it in color, and the gold. These were actually overlaid. They were made out of acacia wood, the boards, and we're talking about the 8 back here, right? 1, 2, 3. Well, I'm not counting this one for the moment, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and 8 in the back. That's what they were talking about right now. Let me see if I can find what I was hoping to show you. I had a detail of how the sockets worked. So give me a moment and I'll see if I can find it for you. And apparently I'm not going to be doing it through that one. So let me see if I can find this. This could be it. There we are. Here we are. That's how these are. Here are the sockets, and they were on, as you can see, this is a tenon, two tenons, and they would be able to slide up and down these tenons. And that way, because the Mishkan had to be on the floor of the earth, of the wilderness where they erected it, that way these sockets would slide up and down to accommodate the terrain. So just a little bit of detail there. Let's see what I can do here. Okay. Vayas briche atzei shitim, and he made bars of acacia wood, chamisha, 5, lekarshe tzela hamishkan ha'echad, 5 for the boards of one side of the tabernacle. So, by the way, little just slight detail here. There's not a lot of Rashi to show you. Okay, so this isn't in the next chapter down here. But for now, we don't have any commentary because Rashi's already commented on so much of this before. So we're actually going over stuff that we would have done before. We may not have actually covered it ourselves, but it's there in the Torah in previous chapters. So anyway, let's take a look. I'll go back now and see what I can do here. Let's hear the boards. So excuse me, sorry about that. I'm assuming, of course, that you can see all of this. Let me keep going back and show you. This was to give you the idea of the bird's eye view there. Give me a moment. Here we are. Okay. So here is one central board. It mentions one central bar that went through the very middle. And here is how he's trying to show you. There were 2 bars that went to the center here, and 2 there was the 2 bars, 1, 2, and 3 and 4 that would go on the outside. They made these external sockets here, as you can see, and the 1 bar would go through it. There, and then the central bar there. So let me go back. I'll just see if there's anything more that can clarify it. No. Just giving you, taking this apart and showing you how it was constructed. Okay. All right, let me go back in here. So there we are. And the chamisha brichim lekashet tzela mishkan hashenit, and 5 bars for the boards of the second side of the tabernacle, the opposite side. The chamisha brichim, and 5 bars, lekasheh mishkan leyarkatayim yama, and 5 bars for the boards of the mishkan at the end on the west side. So I just want to point out, it's kind of cool that the word for side is tzela. This word here, tzela. Okay? And here, right here. And interestingly enough, that of course is the word that is also used for the rib, for Adam's rib back in Genesis. And this is the basis, one of the bases of saying that it wasn't, that in fact, it wasn't a rib that God removed from Adam, but rather that the original Adam as created was actually a hermaphrodite. And what God did was he cut down the one side of Adam, and they were originally facing opposite directions, and God sliced down the middle and took the one side and had it face Adam. So the man and the woman were facing each other. But the initial man, and that's based on the fact that this word "sela," I mean, there are other supports for that interpretation. I know that the most common interpretation, of course, is translating the word "sela" as rib, but I can also tell you that the first time I came across this particular interpretation that understood that first man as being a hermaphrodite, I thought I was blown away by that here was this totally different interpretation, and the implications, of course, are quite considerable. So, going on. Vayas et habriach hatichon, and he made the middle bar, livroach betoch hakrashim. So that you saw, right? I can show you the picture once more, but that was to go through, in other words, to go through in the midst of the boards, min hakatzeh el hakatzeh, from one side to the other side. So I'll show you the picture quickly. I will try. Let's see that here. Okay, these are these particular sockets here. They put on the sides. Here's that picture. Okay, here. Let's take a look at that. All right, not as nice a picture, but here's that middle bar going through the middle. And I think if I take this, let's take this, we can probably get a better, these are better pictures. There's the middle bar right there going through. What is interesting is that the first time this is mentioned, when it says from one end to the other, okay, they understand. Let me see if give me one moment to see something. This will help me here. Okay, let's take a look at this picture. They understand it to go that middle bar would go all the way through and was flexible. It would curve at the corner and go all the way through to here from one end, that it was one long bar that they put through the middle there, as opposed to the solid bars, they're four, on each side. So it's interesting that they had some kind of that middle piece would go from one end to the other, and that it was somewhat more flexible, right? It had to be flexible in order to be able to negotiate the corners there. But that's I found that interesting. In some ways, perhaps a little bit hard to believe, but quite possible nevertheless. It's just interesting. And so often, I would start out in my own personal studies, finding something incredible that it was hard to believe. And then later on, as I studied further, realized they had nailed it, actually. They knew what they were talking about. So, ve'et hakrashim tzipa zahav, and the boards he overlaid with gold, ve'et tabotam, and their rings, asa zahav, he made out of gold, batim lebrachim, to house the bars. So those are those little pieces that were put in the side. Again, let me see if I can find the illustration for you. Let's see if I can do that. All right, so here we are having it overlaid with gold. And let me see if we're talking about these little pieces here. That's what we're talking about. To house those poles that went through, those bars. Okay, I think I might have a picture of. Let's see if I have a more detailed picture of it. No, it doesn't look like it. At least I know I do have one somewhere, but not right here. Okay. I don't know that you need anything more detailed than that. Okay. Vayas et haparochet, and he made the curtain tchelet v'argaman, blue and purple, v'tolaat shani, and crimson yarns. Shani, I believe, is silk, v'shesh moshzar, and fine twisted linen. Ma'aseh choshev, the work of a skilled craftsperson. Asa ota kruvim, he made it with cherubim. Again, let's see if we can find a picture of that. Let me see if I can. Give me a moment. Okay, let's see here. Oh, there's the picture, by the way, of these little sockets that we're talking about, the rings that were described here. These the parochet. That's what he's talking about. Now, let me see if I can make it a little bit bigger so you can see. It's going to mention 4 poles right there that this was on. And then there was a veil in the front here, which had 5 poles. 1, 2, well, it did have 5. I know that. So 3, 4, 5. I'd have to look. This is not clear here, but let me see if I have a picture that might show it to you. One moment. There we are. Take a look. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the that one there. And here's a better picture for you to see. 1, 2, 3, 4. And look at how the arc just fit in between there. Some of the pictures I can, sorry about this. Let me see if I can get you better pictures here. Yeah, it's much clearer, right? That's what we're talking about here. The 4 poles that were mentioned. Another picture of it. So these are just much clearer pictures. There's the 5, right? And then this we call a screen. They'll refer to that as well in front of it. So let me go back and we'll do a little bit more. Okay. So let me find out here. Okay. Let's see. Here we got the curtain, right? Vaya'as la arba'a amudei shitim, and he made for it 4 columns of acacia wood. Vayitzapem zahav, and he overlaid them with gold. Vavehem zahav, their hooks of gold. That was the hooks on which to hang the curtain. Vayitzuk lahem arba'a adnei chesef, and he molded for them 4 sockets of silver. Let's see if we can find a picture of that. Let me see if I can. Let's see. Hold on a second there. I'm going to see if we can see a picture of those. Sorry. Just trying to see if I have that. So we aren't seeing it because of the curtain covering it. But I may have another picture elsewhere. Let me see in the other grouping that I have. These pictures, of course, are not as clear. Let's see what we can find here. So this isn't really going to show it to you. No. I'm sorry, but I'm sure you can get you do get the picture, I'm sure. All right. Let's go here. Just a little bit more. Okay. Vayas masach lafetach ha'oil, and he made the veil for the opening of the tent. Tchelet v'argaman, blue, purple, v'tolad shani, and crimson yarns, v'sheish morsar, and fine twisted linen, maseh rokem, the work of an embroiderer. So that front veil was embroidered and not woven in the same kind of way. Ve'et amudav chamisha, and its columns 5, ve'et vavehem, and their hooks, ve'tzipa rashehem, and he overlaid their tops, ve'chashukehem, and their bands, zahav, with gold, ve'adnehem chamisha nechoshet, and their and 5 sockets of brass. So their sockets, they didn't have this. They had they weren't double sockets. They were just single sockets and made of brass. Interesting, these different metals. So let me show you if I can the bands. Let's see if I can find that for you, and I may have to find another picture for you. Let's see, so I may just be out of luck. All right, so I will have to see if I can find a picture to show you of those bands. So I'm not seeing it in that grouping, and let's see if we have it here. Probably not. Okay. I'll have to find another picture for you, I think. So, okay, here we are. These are the bands. Do you see? I'm so sorry about the quality of the picture, but that's what they look like. That's helpful, I think, I hope. All right, so there we are. And I'm going to go back to the text and see, we'll stop right here. It's a good place for us to stop and pick it up, God willing, tomorrow. And this is, as you can see, it's a new chapter. And now we're talking about the fabrication. So here Moses is transmitting the instructions, and here Bezalel is actually going to fabricate these different parts of the Mishkan. So I'm going to stop the share. And if you have any comments for the record, I'm happy to listen. Otherwise, we'll just stop the recording. Okay.